going on, guys? Welcome back to BOC with Ketter, Beverage of Choice with Ketter. This is season 1, episode 4 of that. So, what are we sipping today? Yeah, don't make fun of my cup. This isn't something I bought, but it's a perfect little Valentine's Day cup. It is February, and we are sipping on a latte. Yes, we got a little latte machine. I don't know the brand. And Peyton whipped this up for me. Looks beautiful. Look at that. I used to be a barista, so I know a thing or two. Let's give it a sip. Ooh, so sweet and strong coffee flavors. That's delicious. That goes very good in February on a nice cold day. One more little sip. That's great, guys. Awesome. Well, alrighty. So, what are we going to talk about today on this episode? I think we're going to talk about my future plans and trips for this upcoming fly fishing season. Obviously, winter, and I've still been fishing, but don't really go on any trips during the winter. So we got spring, summer, and fall coming up of 2025. So, going to go over the plans that I have so far, kind of made up in my mind of places I want to go and things I want to do. Keep in mind, these trips are scattered throughout me fishing. I fish 3 to 4 times a week, pending the weather and pending what's going on in life. But I do like to have 1 to 3 actual trips planned as well. Trips through the weekend, take some time off, have a couple days during the week as well. So that's what we're going to talk about and let you kind of know my plans for 2025. So the first trip, number 1, is going to be Minnesota trout opener. It's catch and release right now, but the trout opener is in mid-April. I don't think they've officially released the date. It's normally that first Saturday before April 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So right in that April bracket. Spring is in the air. It's just a great time of the year, and that's when you can actually keep trout. So trout is officially open. We've gone the last 3 years, myself and the boys, about 3 to 4 of us, have made that an annual trip. We take some time off and then go down to a destination and go out on trout opener. And we've done Beaver Creek in Minnesota, which is a fantastic place. I haven't been back there, and that was, I think, 3 years ago. It was honestly my introduction to like crazy fly fishing, like as in crazy action. We hammered the fish. Haven't been back since, so I kind of want to get back there. And then the last 2 years, we've done whitewater. If you're in Minnesota and the Driftless, you're familiar with whitewater. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Do not get me wrong. It's just extremely pressured, especially on trout opener. It's insane. Like, you get down there and it's the little towns, Elba, Altura, they're just popping with people. It's really cool. Like, it's just really cool to see that many people get into, trout fishing and turkey hunting's going on as well. You got the whitewater forest right there. People are turkey hunting, people are trout fishing, people are just camping just because it's finally nice out in Minnesota. It's an experience. Definitely recommend doing it. However, we've done it the last 2 years, and like I said, it's nuts down there. Like, there's dudes fly fishing, there's dudes, conventional fishing, and they're keeping everything they can get in the net, which is cool. Eat your fish. That's what you can do if you want to do that. Go for it. But I think we're going to steer away from that this year. I do not believe we're going to shoot for whitewater. I just think we're going to try something different. I'm not going to say new. I'm going to push in the group for Beaver Creek again. I'd like to get down there. If you don't know where that is, it is the farthest southeast corner of Minnesota, and it is beautiful. It's less pressure, and the nearest town's Caledonia. Just a beautiful area. So you can go down there, you can fish, you can also do some cool little stuff in Caledonia, little shops, little bars, whatever you want to do. It's a cool spot. I really want to push for that. So I'll throw my 2 cents into the group chat and see if we can maybe make Beaver Creek happen again. I think we do well down there. And that time we were down there, my buddy, we caught, like I said, we hammered the fish, and my buddy made some trout cakes. To this day, the best way I've ever had trout. I don't love trout, but those trout cakes were delicious. So you know who you are. Well done, buddy. Wow, that is so tasty. Cool. So yeah, trip one is Minnesota trout opener. Of course, I wouldn't miss it for the world. Okay. So in the mix of all that can happen, what can happen during that time of the year is a steelhead run. So I've never done it. I am a driftless fisherman, meaning I fish in the driftless region of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. That means, for the most part, small streams, creeks. That's what I know. I know how to fly fish that. Steelhead run on the North Shore of Minnesota, coming out of Lake Superior up into those rivers, those tribs. It happens in the fall, it happens in the spring. And from everything I know, it is magical. People love it. You catch some big fish. I got some buddies that have done it, and they've caught some hammers, and I would love to catch one of those. So this year, I'm making it a goal to get up and try out the steelhead run. Um, you don't know when it is because it's Mother Nature that will determine that. So I don't know when it will be. April, May, June, it can happen kind of in that range from my understanding. Hopefully April. I feel like that's kind of when it happens. That winter melt off starts to hit the North Shore and the fish start to move up. So I cannot wait. I might be buying a new fly fishing rod. I might. We'll see. We'll see if it's in the budget. If not, I can rig up the 9'5" weight enough to power through on some steelhead. I don't think it's ideal from what I've read. You want something a little stronger, you know, seven weight, even an 8 weight would really be beneficial. But I think I can get away with it. But we'll see. I might buy another one. I just got to weigh my options to make sure it's something I'm going to be using a lot, because I want an 8 weight for steelhead, but I don't necessarily know if I'll use it a ton. And I think that might be a little too bulky for just streamer fishing in the driftless. So we'll see. We'll probably make a little podcast about that as well. But yeah, I'm gonna wait that out. I have no idea when it's gonna be. I got a couple buddies up in the North Shore area, Duluth area, Superior, Wisconsin area, that are gonna be my eyes in the skies, doing some intel and kind of keeping an eye on the area to see when the steelhead run starts. Because I've been up in that area. I used to live in Duluth when that happens, and there is people everywhere. So you're driving on the North Shore, 61 scenic, like there's people everywhere, and it's the steelhead run. So as soon as I get that text or that call that it's on, I'm scooting north. Hopefully, I have a couple buddies join me as well. Meet some buddies up in Duluth area, and we're gonna go after the steelhead. We'll probably make an episode about that later. I don't know much about the steelhead. I've never done it. Done a ton of research, but you can do all the research in the world, but experience is how you really learn. So I'm really, really excited to do that. Like I said, never done it, and I feel like that's kind of like the big thing, especially in Minnesota, well, the Great Lakes region in general, is to chase after steelhead. So super stoked to do that. I will be heading to the North Shore. So that's 2 trips, kind of right in that early spring range. Those are going to be, I think, fairly close to each other. So super excited for that. Take a little sip. All right. And now my 3rd trip it's a fly fishing trip, okay? But it's also not a fly fishing trip, if you get my vibe, right? So Peyton and I want to do a little vacation, not too far from home, because that's just what we can do right now. We're going to book a cool little cabin in the driftless area of Iowa. Sorry, not Wisconsin. I always want to say Wisconsin. In the driftless area in Iowa, kind of near Decorah, right in that area. A lot of good water around there from what I've been told, and then according to the maps I've looked at, some good water. And I've had some buddies fish down there too and said it's very good and less pressured. So we found a cute little cabin on Airbnb. It's got a hot tub. It's just like one of those little homes. It's super cool. It's right on the river. So this is a vacation, okay? This is for Peyton and I to get out and enjoy ourselves, relax, go to the brewery. Toppling Goliath, I heard, is phenomenal pizza. Go to some wineries, do our thing. But Peyton knows. She knows what she signed up for. I will be bringing my fly fishing poles. I always say poles. My fly fishing rods on this trip. So I'll be getting out in the Iowa Driftless a little bit. Never fished the Iowa Driftless, so super excited to get down there. It's not far from where we live, a couple hours, and we'll be in the Iowa Driftless. So that's going to happen in early June is when I'm aiming to book that. So should be right when the bugs are just nuts. There's probably going to be hatches going on all over the place. And yeah, just excited to fish the third state of the Driftless because I've done Minnesota, Wisconsin all the time. Never ventured into Iowa. So really excited about that. But as I mentioned before, this is not a fly fishing trip. This is a trip with my fiance. Okay? All right. Glad we all are on the same page. Okay? Cool. So that's 3 trips. And the 4th trip, I don't know if this will happen. Life gets busy and you never really know what's going on. But I have made it a goal of mine. I know we went over goals a while ago, but a goal I do want to do sometime soon, probably in the next 2 or 3 years. But I do want to do it this year because I think this will be my chance to do it. I want to go on a solo trip down into the far corner of southeast Minnesota. I've picked an Airbnb. I've picked a town. And I want to spend a couple days down there. I'm thinking 3 days. I want to do it all by myself, and I want to catch a trout in Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin. So I'm thinking 3 days, 1 day for each state, and I want to pick a trout from each state. I think that'd be really cool just to do that. Like, yes, there's part of the Driftless in Illinois, but I don't think I'll ever really do that. So to me, to catch a state in all of the Driftless, to catch a fish in all of the Driftless states would be super cool to do, especially over a couple day span. So my goal is to, again, stay in that far corner of southeast Minnesota. You're right in a ring, like 30-40 minutes. You're fishing in Wisconsin, you're fishing in Iowa, you're fishing in Minnesota. It's just boom, big circle. I could probably show you on a map here. I could probably upload that to the video as well, and show you kind of what my plan of attack is. I've marked a ton of creeks. What I want to do, a pretty good plan of how I'm going to attack it. At first day, I want to get down there and fish in Minnesota. I think we'll catch a fish in Minnesota, get out there that evening, catch a couple trout, and cross off Minnesota. And then I will spend a whole day the next day focusing on Iowa, since that would be, not an area I'm too familiar with at all. So that might be the most challenging for me. So go to Iowa, catch my trout in Iowa, do whatever else. And then that last day, probably like on my way home, go up through Wisconsin and hit a couple rivers, creeks in Wisconsin. I don't want to go to the creeks and rivers that I always fish in Wisconsin because I think that'd be kind of cheating on this mission. So I want to make sure that happens in areas of Wisconsin that I've never caught a fish. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think that'd be really cool. Just a little solo trip, just myself hanging out, catching some trout and relaxing. I would like to do that later in the summer, possibly in the fall, early fall. I think would be a fun time to get out and do that. I love fall fishing. I don't love that dog days of summer fishing. I don't think anyone does. I kind of want to wait till hopper season hits and kind of get that on the books. But we'll see. Again, I don't know if that's going to happen, so don't hold me to it. But those 3 other trips, pretty confident we're going to do that, guys. So yeah, that's really all I have for you on this episode. Just kind of wanted to tell you my plans for the 2025 trout season in Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin. What's super nice about this too is I'm a resident in Minnesota. So I get my resident fishing license through Minnesota, and then you need a trout stamp as well. It's not expensive as a resident, so go get that. Of course, go get that. And then Wisconsin, I buy a non-resident every single year. It's not a lot of money, so go get that as well. And then in Iowa, I've never bought my fishing license in Iowa, but what I've seen, not expensive either. So you can get a trout stamp, fishing license for all three of those states for a fairly decent price. You can do it on a budget if you need to. So yeah, you got to spend a little money, but it's not like getting an elk tag out west. It's not gonna cost you an arm and leg just to go to another state and catch a fish or harvest an animal. So yeah, super excited, guys. 2025, it's gonna be a year. I mean, I've been talking about it a lot, and super excited to get out there. So thanks for hanging out, guys. I hope you're sipping on a little something. Don't make fun of my cup. I don't want to hear about it. Don't want to hear no comments. It's a cool cup, all right? Valentine's Day, it holds a latte perfect. So that's probably why she got them. Maybe next time we can find one that's a little more for me, but until then, I'll sip out of this cup. Cheers, guys.